Welcome, welcome, welcome once again to another edition of Maximum Life with yours truly, Michael Norman. This is another wonderful day for growth and development so that we can become all that we are purposed to be, your God given divine purpose to be. So, today, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the topic of the prosperity mindset. The prosperity mindset. Thinking rich before you become rich. Thinking rich before you become rich. And this is essential not only in matters of finances, but it's essential as a matter of life itself, because there's nothing that is ever going to materialize in the physical until it first materializes in our mind. Now, this is all based on the concept, which is my hallmark. I stand on this 10 toes down about the power of your mindset, that your mindset really does affect your assets. Your mentality really does affect your reality. So if you want to change your outer world, it starts by not changing the people that are in the outer world, but changing what's happening in the inner world, because your inner world impacts your exterior world. So we're going to deal with that. I've got some notes here I want to share with you, but again, I want to talk about, again, prosperity. Now, a lot of people really poo-poo the idea of prospering and those that preach prosperity. But let me just kind of redirect your mind concerning this particular topic. So don't turn me off just yet, but hear me out on this. One of the things that I wrote down here is one of the things here is something I discovered, and that is most people really don't want to prosper as much as they think they do. They like the idea of getting more, but when the rubber meets the road, that's when, yeah, I didn't want it as badly as I thought I did. I thought I wanted it, but no, I'm going to pass, or I give up. And here's the thing that really separates winners from losers. And I don't mean to be condescending or insulting of anyone, but I want you to understand how success is literally not a matter of happenstance. You don't happen to stumble into success in any sphere of your life. Success is actually an issue of intentionality. I go as far as to say that success is a system, that you systematically follow a certain principle for a given period of time, you will get the desired results. And therein lies the challenge for most. Because while most people want to prosper, not everyone wants to do what is required to prosper. And some people are sold on the idea that, I like the guarantee of getting the same dollar amount every week. My job pays me a certain dollar amount, and I like the security of getting that dollar amount every week. Now, to the rejection of the potential of doubling, tripling, or 10x in what you currently make. Some people would rather chance it with staying with the same income for the next 10, 20, 30 years, as opposed to taking a risk, a calculated risk, in doing something that stands to increase your income 10x. So what's the difference between the one who 10x their income and the one who doesn't? Well, the one who doesn't would rather go with the guaranteed whatever, $15, $25 an hour. They're settling for that as though that there's no chance for them to ever make more. And the only person that is stopping them from actually getting more, it's them. It's not the outside world. It's not my friends. It's not co-workers. It's not people who are hating on me. It's literally me. So I've bought into the old adage, if it's to be, it starts with me. I've got to literally believe that if I want to make a change in my life, a significant change in my life, it's not going to happen by the people that are outside of me, but it's going to happen first inside of me. So I've got to change my paradigm, my mindset, my way of thinking. I've got to change all of that first. Get rid of, as they say, the stinking thinking, because that's what causes us to come into a life of scarcity, mediocrity, and not really living the full potential of your life. God wants you to have health. Even God, it says, I want you to prosper and be in good health. I want you to, did you get the first half of that? I want you to prosper, grow, expand, scale, become more than you are right now. But even God says, prosper and be in good health as your soul prosper, your emotions, your minds. Let's not be tossed to and fro, back and forth, going with every trend, in today, out today, because everything is double time now, triple time. Nothing's really operating slowly these days. Everything is quick, fast, and in a hurry as far as technology is concerned. But the one thing that is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore is that we have to discipline ourselves to do the things that we have to do when they have to be done so that we can do the things we want to do when we want to do them. That's really the key to success. Doing those hard things, being able to endure doing what's not pleasant. It's not something that we look forward to necessarily, but we do want the outcome. Therefore, we stay on target. We stay on the path, even though it gets difficult sometimes. Some people may fall off the path. Some people may try to knock you off the path. But what determines winners from losers, again, is as the scripture says, the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but to the one who endures to the end. So what makes you a winner is not whether or not you start, but whether you finish. And there are those who are great starters. They start out with great momentum, great excitement, great enthusiasm. But because things are not happening in the time frame that they think they ought to happen, eventually they slow down. They lose momentum. They get discouraged, get despondent, and then eventually they bow out. I thought it was going to be good. I started my own this or my own that, and it was good, but I didn't get enough customers, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. They didn't do that. It's all exterior circumstances, things that are happening outside, as opposed to really looking inward and saying, I just didn't stay the course. I just didn't. I got a little discouraged. I saw all the money that I spent to put into the business, and I didn't get the kind of return that I wanted. Ergo, I thought, this is not for me. Maybe I missed the mark on this. Maybe I messed up. I moved too fast. And all of that might be true, all things considered. However, here's what I have really recently come to learn, and that is anything that you seek to do is going to work on you first before it works for you. So, not Miles, my good friend Myron Golden, and I call him my good friend because that's what I believe he'll be ultimately. He's one of my coaches. But he says, all work works, but it works on us before it will work for us. So I'm in the business. I'm an entrepreneur. I represent several enterprises, ventures, and things of that nature. I got my own real estate business. I'm working in as a realtor. I work in the digital marketing space and financial planning. So I'm doing all of these things to help people. Not necessarily to make money, although I want to make money, but making the money is not the end game. The end game is helping as many people as I possibly can through those various vehicles. But I've discovered, even doing that, I've got to hear a lot of no's. In my real estate business, in my digital business, and even in planning, financial planning, even though I have the answers that are literally going to radically reform lives, literally take them from scarcity to abundance. I have that technology and that ability and that information that will do exactly that. But I've got to hear a lot of no's before I oftentimes get to the yes. And the yes ultimately makes it worth hearing all of the no's. But I've learned that even through the no's, There's some things I can learn through that. There's some things that I'm picking up that I otherwise would have never learned if I hadn't gone through all the rejections, all the turnaways, all the not right now. I had to get really introspective and start looking at myself and stop blaming everything outside of me and start looking at the inward me. What's my mindset? Am I in it only until I'm no longer excited about it? See, because if you do it, anything, because you're just excited about it, that excitement is going to wax and wane based on circumstances. That's all excitement is. I'm excited because it's attached to some sort of external circumstance. And when that external circumstance is removed, then our excitement begins to go down. And as a result, we ultimately, we're waiting for the next wave to be excited again. Then we're not. Then we're excited again, and then we're not. Then we're excited, and then we're not. And then we bow out. So I've learned that all work works. All work works. The things that you go through when you hear the no's and the rejections and the not right now, or come back at a later time, those are all literally working on you before it will work for you. If you've got a great product or service or offer that you know adds value to anyone, to humanity, to their lives, when you know you've got the goods, you've got what it takes, you've got what they need, but they don't know that you have what they need, or they don't appreciate that you have what they need, or perhaps some are just not willing to accept the fact that they need what you've got. And so you're going to hear those no's, you're going to hear those not right nows. It doesn't mean that you're in the wrong place or the wrong space. It means that there's some growth that's happening that you're not aware of. The growth that's happening feels like rejection. The growth that's happening feels like discouragement. The growth that is actually happening feels like depression, anxiety, and all those things that we think once they come into our lives, that means give up. That means throw in the towel. You miss God. That's not really the path for you, that sort of thing. But let me draw this analogy for you, and I'm going to give you a couple of more points here. I remember there was a time when I was really into weightlifting. Not so much now, but fortunately, I haven't gotten too much bigger than I was then, or fat, as it were. But one thing I noticed, that if I wanted to build up my calf, my biceps, my shoulders, my chest, my legs, and things of that nature, I had to submit to a season of suffering. I had to submit to a season of pain. I also had to submit to a season of discomfort. This doesn't feel good. So there's times when I've been under those weights during bench presses, and I'll do maybe 10, 20, 30, and that's enough. I'm starting to feel the resistance. That's enough. Not realizing when that resistance starts, those weights starts getting heavier and heavier, that's when the workout actually begins. And so in order for me to get broader shoulders, bigger biceps, more chest, more legs, whatever, I had to submit to that pain and that discomfort. And it's the same in life. Whatever you are going to if you're going to prosper, you got the prosperity mindset says, I'm in it until I see the desired results, not until it's no longer fun. You might go into the gym and start working out and, lifting weights, and it's fun for a period of time. And then all of a sudden, now you've moved into the actual bodybuilding aspect of weightlifting, and it's no longer fun. That's when you got to say, I'm in it until I get the desired results. Not until it is no longer fun, but until I get the desired results. However long that takes. Now, every morning here, I'm out doing my brisk walk. I speed walk every morning, 2 miles, maybe 2.5 miles, whatever, because I want to make sure I keep myself conditioned. I want to keep my heart strong, keep my heart rate up, that sort of thing. Is it fun? Nuh-uh. No. Now, when I first started, I was motivated because, oh, here we go. I'm working, and I did my first mile, and I'm just walking, walking, walking. And it was kind of fun because the mile wasn't really a challenge for me. So after doing that for a period of time, then I had to up that mile to 1.5 miles. Am I excited about this? No. I'm not excited about going further because now I got to exert more energy. I might get a little tired, more tired than I would have gotten if I only done a mile. See, I could do the mile and get back and like, woohoo, that was it. And I'm ready to go on for the rest of my day. But now it's 1.5 miles. Now I'm coming back when I'm done. I don't have as much energy. Now I'm more tired than I was when I was running a mile or walking a mile. But as I persist through the discomfort, I kept doing because the work is working on me first. If I want to lose weight, if I want to maintain a certain weight level, a certain heart health, then I have to submit to a time and a season of discomfort. Why? Because I'm looking for a desired result. I'm not looking forward to the pain. I'm not looking forward to the discomfort, but I am looking forward to the desired results. That's what I'm looking forward to. So until I get that desired result right there, then I have to submit to this season of discomfort. That is the prosperity mindset. How to be rich, how to think rich before you even become rich. That means you might have to endure some times of financial hardship. But that doesn't mean you. One thing about thinking, it doesn't cost you anything to think. So it's not going to pull any more money out of your bank account. It's not going to put any more strain on your body. If you just simply buy into the idea that if I can think prosperity, growth, expansion, ultimately and eventually, those opportunities will begin to show up in my life. And remember, though, when they show up, they require some front end work. You got to work the front end first. The work has got to work on you before it works for you. If you don't take anything else away from this video, just recognize that the work you're involved in has got to work on you first before it will work for you. Because there's, again, a lot of lessons that must be learned along the way. They are actually preparing you for the breakthrough, for the promised land. Now, if I take you to the Bible, and I would tell you about how Moses brought the children of Israel out of Egypt from not having enough to the wilderness where they had just enough, barely enough, but that barely enough period was preparing them for Canaan when they were going to have more than enough. Now, in Egypt, when you tell me about a place where it's flowing with milk and honey and the grapes are as large as bowling balls or bigger than beach balls, that it takes 2 people to carry 1 load of grapes, yes, take me. I want in. Anything is better than slavery here in Egypt. So everybody is in on it. And so they all leave. They go through, the Red Sea, parting. They walked on dry land, came through that. But they got to the wilderness, and that's where they really started complaining. That's when they really started complaining. And as such, their complaints lengthened the time that it took to get out of the wilderness. That should have been like a 7 to 11 day journey, turned into 40 years. Can you imagine 40 years of complaining and bickering and murmuring? Oh, I don't like this. I'd rather go back to Egypt. See, the genius of God was when they came through the Red Sea on dry land, when God opened up the Red Sea and allowed them to walk across on dry land, and Pharaoh's army tried to do the same thing, the Red Sea collapsed on them, killing all of Pharaoh's army. The genius was, that was good. That was good. That's impressive. But the genius was he used that Red Sea to collapse on Pharaoh's army, not only to kill the army or their pursuing army, but guess what? That collapsed water prevented Israel from going back to Egypt. So God got a twofer out of it. Killed the pursuing Pharaoh's army, and number two, he prevents Israel from ever going back to Egypt. So they had to go forward. However, they didn't have the right mentality. They didn't have a prosperity mindset. Even when they got to the perimeter of the promised land, seeing that all that they heard was true. The grapes are huge. Land is flowing with milk and honey. Everything is just as it was told. But they still had a poverty mentality. Certain of them said, we can't do it. We look like grasshoppers in our sight and in their sight. But Joshua said, no, Joshua and Caleb said, no, we can go. We can go and take it. We're well capable of taking the land. And so they did. Why? Because they had a prosperity mindset. And I would venture to think that perhaps they were thinking, ain't no way I'm going back to Egypt. There's just no way I'm doing that. It's like as an African American, there is no way we're going back to being slaves. Never. That's never going to happen. Okay. So that's how Joshua was. We're just not going back. We're not going back. So we might as well go forward. And so what they went through in the wilderness, which was just enough, from not enough to just enough to more than enough, what they went through in the wilderness actually prepared them for what they had to experience and encounter when they came to Canaan. So again, the principle is still at work. It's been around since Bible days. Whatever you're involved in, whatever you're pursuing, the thing that you're pursuing is going to work on you first before it works for you. So the wilderness had to work on them. Even Egypt had to work on them because they had to get to a place where they were sick and tired of being slaves to the point they were ready to move on. And then God begins the process of processing and preparing them for the promise. Because if you get the promise before the process, then you will spoil the promise. It's just like giving your 6-year-old kid keys to your $70,000, $80,000 car and say, just drive wherever you want to go. That would be irresponsible. So God's going to prepare us for everything. Everything we're going to get involved in, we're going to have to be prepared for. Even if you go to your 9-to-5, before you can start the 9-to-5, they're going to put you into a time of orientation. That's not going to be fun. That's not exciting, however, in most cases. But they understand before we can release you into the promise, we got to put you to a time of preparation. So it's important for that we understand that every promise comes with preparation. You got to be prepared. There's a process that prepares you for every promise. PPP. Process prepares you for the promise. And if you understand that, then you understand that the prosperity mindset says, I must become rich. I must think rich before becoming rich. So prosperity starts in the mind. Wealth is first an inner condition. Your outer world reflects your inner thinking. If you see yourself as broke, your mind will find a way to prove it. If you see yourself as prosperous, your mind will find a way to manifest it as well. As a man thinketh in his heart, this is what Proverbs 23 says in 7. If you think it you will become it. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So if you think it, you will become it. That's why I always say your mindset will affect your assets. Your mentality will affect your reality. What you think, as whatever you if you meditate on it, you will magnetize it to you, good or bad. If you meditate on it, you'll magnetize it. All right? As a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So think rich, not just in money, but in everything. Wealth is not an issue of how much money you have in the bank. And most wealthy people will tell you they don't consider themselves to be wealthy simply because they've got millions in the bank. They consider themselves wealthy when not only financially, but spiritually, emotionally, socially. That's really real wealth. So you've got to think rich in possibilities and not limitations. Possibility thinking. I love this. One of my favorite. I used to think he was a snake oil salesman back in the day, but I've since then discovered he's a very wise and prudent man, and that's a person of Reverend Ike. He says, you must have possibility thinking. You must possess possibility thinking. It has to be a part of your mental makeup. All things are possible. Okay? So the poor thinks and says to themselves, I can't afford it. But prosperity thinking says, how can I afford it? So if you're thinking, how can I afford it? Not, I can't afford it, but how can I afford it? How can I create it? That means if you're thinking, I can get it, I just need to come up with a method in order to get it. That's when your mind opens up and ideas will come, opportunities will come. And you'll see what you've never seen before because now you open your mind and your eyes to new possibilities. So the rich mindset is always looking for opportunities, ideas, and solutions, while the poor mindset says, I'm looking for guarantees. I don't want a chance losing my 9 to 5 to go and pursue my dreams. Then your dreams will never become a reality. If you're settling for the guarantee of less and you're sacrificing your dreams because it's too risky to go after them, then you will always find yourself settling for less than what you could possibly be. So I trust that you've got something out of these few moments of time with me. I really want to challenge you in the idea to start thinking, prosperity thinking. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost a dime to think I can be, do, and have. I can be what I want to be so that I can do what I need to do so that I can have the things I want to have. But you got to buy into the whole notion that it first works on me first before it works for me. So I got to, in my mind, be the thing I desire to be. The Bible talks about meditate on this word. Well, you got to meditate. You got to think about what it is you desire. And there's going to be a lot of distractions, okay? So be forewarned. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be designed to distract, to discourage, and get you all off your game. But you've got to determine, like fight tooth and nail to maintain that space and place where you can meditate and think about the things that you want to be, the things that you want to accomplish, the things that you want to have, so that you can be, do, and have those things. But remember, prosperity thinking understands that before it works for me, it's got to work on me. It's going to work on me first. That's why I got to think rich. I got to think prosperity now so that I can be prepared for when prosperity and riches actually shows up and manifest in my life. There's one last verse of scripture in the Bible that talks about how these momentary light afflictions, while they be but for a moment, they are working for a far weight of glory, which is to say that what I'm going through is literally a part of the plan. That's what throws us off. We think the problem is the antithesis of the promise, but the problem is a part of the process that brings you to the promise. And so oftentimes we get thrown off because we think, well, I tried it and it didn't work. Well, you didn't try it until it worked. That's the difference. That's a mindset right there. That's a mind shift right there. I'm going to do it until it works. And that way time won't be a factor. You won't be counting the moments, the seconds, the minutes, the days, the hours, the weeks, the years, thinking, well, if it doesn't happen by this time, I'm going to quit. Well, you might as well quit day one. Why waste putting valuable time into something that you're ultimately going to quit anyway? So why even start? Or you can reconcile with the idea that there are going to be trials, there are going to be tests, there are going to be tribulations, they're going to think life is going to life is going to be lifing, things are going to be happening unexpectedly, but it's never going to move me off my pursuit. You may have to slow down, you may have to park for a second to deal with unexpected circumstances, but you get right back, get back on course. Say, I'm going to keep doing this until it works, because all work works. All things work together for the good. All work works. So stay with it until it works. All right? Until we see you next time. Remember now, listen, I've got several options for you in the description down below. Make sure you visit there and check out my latest offering for the algorithm of wealth. This is a powerful video that will literally bring you into a greater awareness of number one, your mindset, because that's my number one mission, to help change the mindset of the world so that they understand all things are possible to them that believe, not for them that have, but for them that believe, until it actually shows up and then you have. So check out the description down below. Make sure you purchase some of those resources that are available for you. And I look forward to hearing from you. If you have any questions, put it in the chat. I'm reading the chat all the time. And I look forward to hearing from you. Until the next video, may the blessings that maketh one rich and add no sorrow be your portion. Till next time, blessings.